Let's do it. All right. Oh, I can't wait to do this one. I've been stewing and brewing in my juices for the last few days. Uh, the Enoch follow up is coming. Um, it just takes a lot longer to put together all the different things in the scripture to point out the story. So forgive me if I'm not moving fast enough. I apologize. Having said that, though, we need to get myself to this channel and mute it, and then so I can see what the hell is going on. So we need to get myself to this channel. Sure. Alrighty, let me pull up this page, and we're gonna get it popping. So everybody might have thought that I was tripping when the deportation thing happened, and then it's just like, oh, that shit didn't really jump off like that. I told you guys, always pay attention. The most dangerous ones got saved for last. So believe it or not, like thousands of people actually got rounded up. If you just do the numbers, uh, if one state and 10 cities, you get 10 people, that's 100 people, man. You know what I'm saying? That's only in 10 cities, though. So if you say, let's say in every state there was, outside of the major cities that they told you about, there's 20 other cities that they're focused on, or major cities that they know hold massive populations of illegals. They're going to go to those places regardless. Let's look at this article right here. And the invisible war is about to be waged at the highest level. Um, is that Randall Cunningham? No, some damn cop who look like him. Anyway, here we go. Now we're not gonna go back to anything just yet, or start all over. We'll watch the video though. Trump administration to expand quick deportations anywhere in the U.S. Look, y'all. 1 hour ago, this shit is fresh off the press. Washington, Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers will be able to more quickly arrest and deport undocumented immigrants anywhere in the United States without going before an immigration judge under a new policy released by the Trump administration Monday. The move aggressively expands the process known as expedited removal, quick deportations that generally aren't subject to judicial review. The expanded process is set to take effect Tuesday, tomorrow. Listen to me. What did I tell y'all when anyway, I'm done talking about it. I'm just gonna read the article. Under current policy, immigration officials can apply expedited removals to speed deportations of people apprehended within 100 miles of the border, and for those who've been in the country up to 2 weeks. Those who arrived in the U.S. by sea rather than at U.S. land borders can be subject to expedited removal for up to 2 years. Under the new policy, officials will be empowered to use the fast-track procedures anywhere in the U.S. and for anyone who can't show to the satisfaction of an immigration officer that they have been physically present in the United States continuously for the 2-year period immediately preceding arrest, regardless of how they arrived, according to the notice published Monday. So they're saying if you don't have paperwork, mail, anything that can that supplements two years of you being in this bitch, you're gone. Let's keep it pushing. The new deportation policy is the second major effort by the administration this month to aggressively expand its power to try to keep migrants out of the U.S. or remove them if they enter. Last week, the administration moved to curb asylum in the U.S. That rule effectively eliminated almost all asylum claims at the U.S. southern border land by rendering ineligible any asylum seeker who transited at least one other country prior to arriving. Listen, they're saying unless you didn't come out of Mexico for sure, straight up out of Mexico, dude, there's no way that you, whatever countries where you should have stopped and applied for asylum in those countries, they're putting the, oh my goodness, they're putting the work to them right now. The move to expand expedited removals comes as backlogs in immigration courts continue to grow. Nearly 950,000 cases are currently pending in the U.S. immigration courts, with an average wait time of 713 days. Dog, 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 you almost don't see a judge for 2 years, right? Or just under 2 years. According to Syracuse University's Transitional Records Access Clearinghouse, President Donald Trump and his hard-line anti-immigration aides have been frustrated that despite concerted efforts to step up enforcement and crack down on immigration, they have largely been unable to reverse a surge in migration to the U.S. southern border and the ballooning backlog in immigration cases. Lee Gellert, Deputy Director of the ACLU's National Immigration Rights Project, said the expedited removals increased the concern advocates already had that the quick deportations had been violating immigrants' right to due process. The expedited removal system is already unconstitutional in our view, Gellert said. This expansion will only increase the illegality. Listen to this right here. I could give 2 fucks about a dirty ass motherfucking immigrant. But this is going to have implications. If they feel that they're still getting hit up, they're going to go after the 14th Amendment. And then that's when black people are in trouble. End of that article. We're going to stress this for a second, though. This was huge. Oh, my goodness, this was huge. So, I haven't seen something like this in a long time. Like, as far as, like, you know, like, I mean, D. Treasy just, he ceases, he cannot cease to amaze me. You know, the guy, or his administration, I should say, does not cease to amaze me. You know, they are a powerful force that people have obviously undermined or have looked over and don't respect. But I'll say this much. I think one of the things that I perceived while I was reading that, it's a thought, so I think it. They're going to be able to do this to a lot of people. It's not just going to be south of the border immigrants. There's Africans that are here. Now, you can't deport somebody somewhere that they've never been that you can't prove that they're from. Effectively, you can't. But what if, I don't know, somebody can't prove their identity? And this is, once again, I reach into the future because there's going to be a day where black people are for real in trouble. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm watching it. And our weekly update is just to, once again, we're holding a prophecy to the fire that was spoken out of men's mouths. See, the Most High God told Abraham through a vision that his seed would be in a horrible land for 400 years. But he didn't tell these men this. So when these men imply that they know that 1619 was indefinitely the year that our people became under the 400 years of servitude and bondage, in which we're supposed to have been allotted, I don't know where they get their ideas from. I don't know how they're so sure of their time. As a child, I was never taught 1619 was when slavery started. I repeat this to you to say it again. 1597 is the year that I was taught that slavery started. So we're already over 400 years, if that's the case. So don't forget while we're doing this, okay? I did videos a year ago and better that, kind of made me really wonder what was going on. This has been the most funnest thing I've done outside of Spiritual Gumbo. That's the funnest thing I ever did and I will ever do. Well, I learned more about everything doing that than anything. But anyway, invisible wartime. Let's talk about what this really means for me. See, I told you guys, they saved the most violent ones for last, or the people who they thought would actually do the most. So this is why they have this immediate expedition. You know what I'm saying? You know, where they can. It's the no, excuse me, the expeditious removal. There we go. The expeditious removal is going to change everything. Oh man. So you got these people who are worried about due process. What about due process? They don't speak any English. And there's words that can't be translated from one language to the other. So at best, you're saying the closest thing to it. You're not even saying that. This is why those types of concepts are bullshit. But the invisible war that's being fought right now is the one against the prophecy of Babylon. See, they're attempting to push out the people who are from certain nations who were never in the country to begin with. Every nation is going to descend. Every nation is going to descend upon Babylon. This invisible war that you're watching is that they're fighting to keep the dissension of the people upon the land. See, this is why I have to point out what they just did, and I can't stress it enough. If you don't think thousands of people have already been removed, look it up. Look it up. Thousands already gone. For real, for real. He got a couple thousand. He didn't get the millions. This might help them get the millions, and they might get the millions silently. You need to be ever careful. Where if you work, live, commingle, congeal with these people who can be considered an immigrante, you need to be very careful. Not to say that they could do harm to you, but you could find yourself in a very precarious position based on your affiliation or based on your proximity, whichever one or both. There needs to be a careful and due diligent process done with the people and in their minds. See, one of the problems that most folks have is they don't know how to actually concede to a thought that is greater than them. Case in point, you tell a man that something is bad for him, and he says, well, how do you know that? And you say, well, all these people who've spent their entire lives studying in this particular arena have noticed that when people ingest or eat this item, these are side effects or symptoms of eating this item. So we tell people not to eat this item because it seems to do this to everyone. Now, whether or not you believe them, because there are people who are not affected that way by the item, but there are far more who are than who are not, and you want to take the chances to see if you are not affected, then go ahead. But if you are a believer in the sensibility of another person's desire to be proficient and efficient at what it is that they deliver, okay, and what it is that they profess to practice, because everything is a practice. The only true professional there is one who is actually engaged in the act, who does it skillfully. That is a professional. It's someone who skillfully engages in an activity. They may tell you that it's a person who does it at a high level, blah, 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 all that. No, it's just one who can engage skillfully in a given activity with a specific mannerism. Please don't think that because you don't see what's happening in front of you, that it's not happening right now. They're doing this right now. See, you're black. You're not an immigrante. Right. You don't get it. But I hope you really accept it. This cannot affect you right away. But there are things that can happen circumstantially that can affect you. And you can't do anything about those things if you're not ready for them, one. And two, if you can't acknowledge it as it's happening. A bad situation that's about to explode, sometimes you can actually tell. My thing is this: is how many of these people do you expect to go down without a fight? Listen, not fighting, but just without a fight. Because a lot of them are going to go with no fight, no struggle. They don't want to get killed, and it's no big deal. A lot of them are going to be crying and sad and broken up. But for every single one of them who will go down not fighting, there's I mean, and that's a plethora, that's a pool of people. You can just keep putting them into a vacuum at that point. But there's the outliers. And if the outliers get together and they're not by themselves, now you're not able to just overwhelm these single and individual outliers because they are congealed together. Then the vehemency, then the fervor of your actions may change, and undoubtedly they would, and they will, if this is what takes place. I need y'all to understand, I told you, they were either going to go after the most dangerous people very first or go after them very last. So I'm going to tell you this. They went and got everybody that they thought was easy to get up out of here. Probably a bunch of old people. Okay. Now, these other ones who are of so-called military fighting age, right? Or the age of a fighting man, every single one of those men who have an established household here in this country and have paid taxes one way or the other, I'm sure they have legitimate data that can measure one's willingness to engage in combat if they feel as if they're being threatened. They feel like they've done nothing wrong. Right. So why all of a sudden now do I have to be held accountable? It's just one of those things. You must accept what it is that you see. You don't have to agree with it, but you must accept it because that's what happened. What you just saw on the paper is what they saw somebody or heard from somebody say to them, because this person was probably with the president or close to somebody who knew, you understand, somebody who's in the know. So on a very practical level, somebody's seen all these things happening and take place. And the winning of a war or the baking of a cake, none of that happens instantaneously. It's a process, but the final product is what you desire it to be. This invisible war that is being fought, waged at the highest level against you, my friend, is one that you cannot afford to lose. No? The reason why is because if you carry on in thinking that I have to find a niche in this country, I have to become a success, you may very well find yourself in a position in which you're the victim of your own desires. See, not long ago, a wise man did say in all his wisdom, in the best part of his wisdom, might I add you, that black people are fucked. And the reason why he said this, he's a wise man. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm not patting my own back here. This wise man said, outside of the student loans and the fact that this Trump administration has constitutional experts who are going to seek to challenge, which they have, the constitutionality of so many different things, so to where in which maybe they question, are you really a citizen? Or are you still not a subservient class? See, what progress has really been made? It's only been a bunch of lip service. And as you are in the middle of this invisible war, you must appreciate where they place you. what faction that they have you aligned with, not with what you have in allegiance in your own soul and mind that you think, but what the people who are working against you think. Because those are going to be the ones who are trying to destroy you. Unless you are attempting to destroy yourself, these are the ones who are trying to destroy you. My people, hear me and hear me clearly. I was at court. I told the judge, Your Honor, because he asked me, what do you want me to do, young man? I said, return my firearm to me and place me back in my place of business so that I may maintain the peace. Now, that's not what I said exactly, but this is the entirety of it. Now, a year later, now a year and some change really later, the situation has become so drastically uncontrollable and untenable that the only logical thing for them to do, just like I need for you guys to do, is to look at the situation and say, what is the common denominator for all of it? And when they say for myself, they say, well, you know what? The only real difference in the area is that we removed this one guy who we claimed was a violent individual. But he can't be. He can't be so violent that the area was safer when he was there, and now it's out of control now. People, understand that these invisible wars take place on so many different levels that you can't mitigate your importance. You don't know how important you are. I can't stress this enough. That's the problem with people. They think because they work at Kmart or Macy's, or maybe they have a really nice job and they're working at Goldman Sachs, or they're working at some type of place where what you use your imagination and get creative. Okay, from blue collar to white collar to green collar, damn it, to brown collar. You just need to know that you are important. You are more important than you will ever imagine yourself to be. Every person that's ever lived has had a level of importance, because in their life, no matter how they achieve, what they think they don't achieve, the world is one step closer to fulfilling prophecy because they too existed here on earth. That's how important you are. That even though I'm just a granule, a small grain in this cake, right on, and a small granule of flour. That's a part of the cake. I'm not the frosting. I'm not any of that. I'm not the extra fillings or nothing, but I am an important granule because I help complete the cake. You help complete the cake. Can you dig it? You are that important, but you can't mitigate your importance. That's the problem. See, these immigrants know their importance, or they understand their self-worth. Now, a lot more of them normally are a little more easygoing than the small minority of them who are the criminals and the evildoers of their people. It's always a small contingent of people. It's not. There's a lot of people who do wrong. Don't get it. Don't get it confused. But I mean, a truly evil, wicked person who goes out and sheds blood on purpose and does so all the time, or seeks to do it as much as they can. Those sorts of people are far fewer in number than people who just find themselves hanging out with that person, and maybe once or twice they find themselves in an activity that they should not be involved in. There's a difference. You know what I mean? There's a degree of difference as to how they are. We're fighting on the front lines because every day you have to leave your home. Every job is dangerous. Once again, don't allow these people to mitigate and lessen you to what you are. You are vital to the structure. That's why I speak on small unit cohesion, because it's the most important thing there is. There is no other thing other than small unit cohesion. It is the best thing there is. The Most High God has accomplished more things with individuals in small groups than he has with large ones. It's a fact. It's a fact. So when I speak to what I say, I'm speaking to the fact that you may be someone that he's attempting to reach out to, wants to reach out to, has to reach out to, but you may be resisting him, as did the people of ancient times. The Most High God can be resisted. You can tell him no. You don't have to tell him yes. That's how powerful he is. Even though he's created everything, he still allows you the functional ability to choose. However, this war that you're in on the front lines, that you cannot escape until you die or until he comes back, whichever concedes first. You have no choice. But you must understand the dynamic of the things that you are going to be dealing with, living in, and living with. I want to speak to something. My next White Heaven is going to be White Heaven the Stork. And it's going to be about how they really wish the stork was a real, like, like as they call, like, like the stork who brings the babies. Like I'm going to break down how they really wish that was a real thing. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm just projecting that so that way you guys know what I'm working on in my mind. Everything doesn't always come to fruition because sometimes I scrap the ideas. The folks aren't receptive, and it's not about tagging videos or uh, 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 or any of that. It's about saying it and it being said and put forth. I deleted a bunch of my old spiritual gumbos from volume one, from volume one to the end of volume four. I'm going to redo a whole bunch of them. I think I'm going to congeal a lot of them together, and when I say like there are like some gems that I deleted and I took down, some gems, beautiful work, excellent work, my best work probably, because I was so raw at what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing really, but I just knew that I wanted to affect the people. And I was like, I'm going to say something. And you can't be afraid about, it's not about the views. It's about, can you go back later on and hear what you're saying on any level being reverberated? And what I say is reverberated on so many different levels. I need not worry about the views. I must put forth the message first. And that is the most important thing. With that said, I speak to my people. I humble myself to speak to my people, as I feel the elders humble themselves to speak to a child, because I already know what I know. If a person comes and shows me their skill and their ability, in that moment, I am the child and they are the elder. If a person knows what I know, then we are equals. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. But if a person lacks sensibilities, even with all the knowledge, if you have no wisdom or understanding, you will be only as capable as the knowledge is. See, we're in a situation and a circumstance where most people have no issue doubting us. Yet, everyone needs you. Do you understand how important you really are to the grand scheme? I can't stress it enough. There is a true level of selfishness that you must harbor and keep to you. It's the same selfishness, and it's not greed. It's a preservation. You must have it. You must have it. It is, I know this for a fact. I wouldn't need a man who lived and died already and accomplished what he accomplished, what he thinks is important for his people, to tell me that, because with my two eyes, I can see it. And in my soul, I can feel it. And for the people who lack soul constitution, I understand why they don't like talking about their feelings, because they don't have any, because they don't have a fucking soul. Having said that, our only ability is to know how important we are. You're so important that you woke up today and the Most High God didn't strike you down and you're still here. That's how important you are. You're so important that he saw fit to chasten you with the worst of the heathens, so that way you would call on him. So in all your, I don't believe in prayer, and all your, I just don't want to talk to him because I haven't talked to him in so long, and all your, I just don't believe in him. That has to, it's evil. It has to go away. If you're around people who are like that, they have to go away. They have to leave your life. You have to leave them. You will never progress to the level that the Most High God sees in you. For sure. The Most High God saw something in your soul when you were a little bitty, itty bitty fetus. There was a spark of energy that you gave off, your frequency, the one that we all emit uniquely, told him something about you. And he said, I can use you. Right. You're a utilizable asset. People can't understand why it is that I speak, act, do what I do. Tried my best to explain it. It's important to speak to the people, my people, because no one loves them. I love you. I love you. If no one's going to chasten you for your wrong ways, I'll chasten you, and I expect you to chasten me. And in that, I can live, and you should be able to live as well. But the fact that there is no accountability with our people, among our people, is why we have no progress made. How can you say that we are all in it together, but we won't hold accountable our ranks? This is why the Most High God has to kill and destroy these people. They have to die. There's no other way to fix it, because they won't do what is righteous and just to do. Everybody thought I was being over dramatic when I said that restitution for me would be all these white people falling on the sword, and every single black traitor, every dirty bastard that has ever done something wrong to black people just die. That's it. You don't have to ask you for shit after that. We'll just take it. Right. Why do you guys always think I say I'll take what I want? What's owed to me, I'll take it. Right. Because they're going to fall on their own sword. They're sharpening it now. Getting ready. I don't care. It's savage all the way. They're not built like that. I wish they were. So you have to be 10 toes at all times, my friends. Can't be afraid. Can't be afraid. That's not an option. Fear is not an option. If you validate your fear, then you validated your death. This conflict that you're in, if you're not willing to give up everything that you have and lose it, you'll have nothing at all. No thing. This is why I laugh at people who are afraid to die. You're going to die one day. You're going to die. It's happening. So your fear of the so-called unknown is only justified because the cowardice that a person lives in that mindset, they justify all their fuckery with it. They justify their capitulation to the white man's system, yet claiming that they rail against the white man. They're weak, they're cowards, and they have no backbone. They say how much they do for the people, how much they care for the people, but they do nothing for them. Never. See, literally, if I minus baptize the scribe out of my life, whatever that dude's real name is, you minus that brother from my life, these videos never come out. I probably still find out about Noah's triplets, Pangea, all that stuff in the Bible, because I was reading the scripture anyway. Probably come across a lot of the stuff I still know. I'm still here. You get what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's like, but I know my importance. I understand my importance. I really do know how important I am. And I'm not sitting here tugging my own coat. That's why I don't like to talk about that type of stuff. Because I get it. Even though people don't know, I play a vital role. Vital role. Have literally helped people shape and change how they talk and speak and converse with others on YouTube. Talk about people with large followings, very large followings. And they would never deny that. When I go places and I do things, I don't try to make it a point to have people say that I'm special or something like that. People just say that to me. People just appreciate the way that I look at things. You know why? Because I'm really not a negative guy. I'm honest and I'm realistic. But I know how to be optimistic. I know when to be optimistic. I know when to give the hope. And I know when to also set in a sober mindset as to what to truly expect. I give my people everything that I have. All that I ever found. There was things that I found out that you, like, as I learned them, I showed y'all. If you already knew, then you knew already. But if you didn't, then you learned with me. And it's like, I'm not sure if people really understand that. Like, if they didn't know it before I brought it up, you learn with your boy. Right. The due diligence of basic shit like that. I'm trying to tell y'all, your importance is way more than you think it is. There are people who feed off of your energy every day that you may not even realize are feeding off your energy. Look forward to seeing you. You're the best part of what they go through because you give them hope. You don't know what you do for someone else. You have no idea. You have no idea. People will think that you've taken their actions lightly. For everybody who wrote your boy the recommendation letters when I was getting all the crazy stuff last year, I want y'all to understand this. I was touched by everybody. I really was. But I had to I was so touched by this sister from Australia. I don't know if she's Aboriginal, but I'm pretty sure she is. And she from Australia. Listen, are you hearing me? From Australia. Wrote me. she she wrote one for me. Wow. Never knew that. Never knew that a person in Australia would even listen to me, could even get around to hearing what I've ever said and do something like that for me. See, that's the blessing of a person not knowing how important they are because of all the good things that everybody has said about me, for me, to the courts. These are things that they've got to be weighed in the balance of righteousness when all things are said and done. Can you dig it? It's just, it's crazy. It's just crazy. My whole life is, I don't know. I just have a unique way of just appreciating what people do. You know, a very unique way of just wanting to be thankful for who people are. Because their energy, there will never be another one of you. You get that? You're you. That's it. That's it. That's a one of one. That's a special concept. That's a serious concept. Somebody could look just like you, act just like you, but they're still different. Even a clone is different because they're still not you. It's a blessing. It really is. It's a blessing. So as I get ready to wrap this up in the next few minutes, because I like to do, I'm liking to do these little shorter ones because I might come back and do something a little bit later, a little Enoch joint, maybe maybe not, but I mean, man, the invisible war is about to get real. It's not going to be visible until it's pretty much too late. Yeah, it's going to be pretty much too late for Black people. But I've already done what I can do. I've said everything I can say. I've touched so many different subjects and arenas that really, when I think about it, I'm almost confounded. I don't get confused very much, but I really am. I am literally almost confused as to just the even if a person were to listen to me and you have to go through me going through the motions, but the willingness to do what I've done, a person can't say anything bad about that. I have put forth what I know is a stalwart effort. And whether anybody ever really, other than Roger Spice and Tammy and Martin and Steve and Andre, right? And when brothers like Mike Woodard come around, I mean, there's people who, Caribbean Hebrew, like there's people who appreciate the way that I think, but there's a lot of people who think that they can just, like, there's a lot of folks because there's going to be people who listen to this who have larger followings, they know who they are, and because they have larger followings, they think that they're more equipped to speak than I am, but really they're not. I don't practice writing speeches. I don't have to do any of that. I'm able to speak to you face value right here, right now, and give you my best. What's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? I don't need a million views to know that I'm killing them. I'm killing them. 10 toes all the way down in this bitch. When I say they don't want, it's not just not wanting to fade. It's they don't want to actually look as regular as they are. You see what I'm saying? Because I make a super motherfucker look like a real regular motherfucker, because you can use as many big words as you like, and you can bring up as many different books as you want and talk about all this different shit. But when I break the shit back down to the most basic stuff, that which people know and can all relate to, then we'll see what you have to say. And that's normally what I do to people. And normally they capitulate. Who do you think was the one? This nigga was the one who got him talking about black people are 3/5 of a human. Like for real, like within like the last year and a half, going on 2 years. Can you dig? This nigga did that. Oz did that. Speaking on it all the time. I told people the exact legislation that it came from. These niggas couldn't tell you that. But they knew it, but they couldn't tell you. Want to know why they couldn't tell you? Because then you would want to question, why do they talk about some of the things that they talk about as if it's actually validated and true, when the things that they're saying are all contradictory? Right. How can you say you're going to use the same system that's oppressing you to free yourself? That doesn't fucking work. That doesn't work. You know, the only way policy is effective is if you enforce policy. What? Let me go ahead and say that again. The only way policy is effective is if it's enforced. And any motherfucker want to argue that, they can. But I'll bet you every dollar in my pocket and money I don't have on that one. Please. The enforcement of anything like that, a law, a provision, okay, an ordinance, all that takes enforcement. It takes a body, a vessel that is utilizable, once again, to do what you want it to do in order to accomplish that. These things don't happen by themselves. Company says we have a zero tolerance drug policy, but they don't have the funds to have you drug tested. Right. Right. So how zero tolerance are they? Well, they say there's zero tolerance, but you go in there and you find out nobody ever takes a drug test. How zero tolerance is it? Or is that just words? Right. So a policy is all based on enforcement. I can't stress this enough to y'all, man. They're about to come and put some shit on black people pretty soon, because it's going to affect everyone. But they're going to use it to maneuver themselves into areas where in which they wouldn't normally be. For every black man that has any kind of success right now, and this motherfucker has some kind of student loan debt over a certain number, I would be concerned. I'm concerned for them. If they're not worried, I'm worried for them, because I know what that means. It means you're fucked when they come for you. It means nothing else than that. You're fucked when they come for you. Man, and you have cats who will really believe in their minds that this is not going to happen. It's happening. Just like they're built, just the walls being built, okay? Just like they're trying to snatch up as many. They're not just going to be throwing out people from south of the border. They're going to be throwing out Africans, Asians, Islanders, Eastern Europeans, Western Europeans, everybody, okay? Everybody's going to get their asses thrown about this bitch if they can throw up out of here. Because they're trying to subvert a prophecy. I need y'all to understand. That's what the invisible war is about. Okay? They can only do so much without it being very obvious what they're trying to do. Because they're working against principalities and powers that know what these prophecies are, that are trying to attempt to bring the prophecies to be. That's how I know that all these dudes aren't working together, because some of their actions scream they're trying to end the world, and they're trying to do it quick. Some of the other ones' actions scream they're trying to ride it out for as long as possible. They're two totally different factions, totally different groups. And there's a bunch of different other groups, but these are the two main groups. And folks can't understand that. All right, it's bigger. It's bigger than a fucking a fiscal budget. Okay, it's bigger than a military defense budget. It's big. It's bigger than all of that shit. All right, this stuff is on a spiritual plane. All right, this is why I talk about frequencies and the spectra so much, because it's in a different realm, and those realms are operated in and by frequency. No doubt. So these guys are trying to, once again, through their own medium of frequency, to maintain or to achieve what it is that they want to see done. You're about to see the craziest shit you guys have seen in a long time, man. In the next few months, I feel confident in that, and I still don't think this year's it. Like I said, if we get to December 31, 11:59, and it starts going down, I was wrong. You'll have to forgive me, because there won't be another live stream probably. when it goes down, there won't be no more of this. You ain't got to worry about that. So forgive me if that's the case, but I don't think this is it. I think they're making a lot of huff and gruff, and the huff and gruff is to try to keep a year like this year from being it. Just my opinion. Their invisible war is being fought at the highest level. I do have to say they are doing everything that they can do, but still, it won't be enough. It won't be enough. In most cases, it almost never is. See, what America has done, what Babylon has done, Britain included, what Babylon has done is it has allowed for itself to become so gluttonous and so enthralled by its own beauty. It's like a person who only wants to look at themselves all day in the mirror, and that's what America's become. And you're making everybody go make food for you and do this for you and do that for you, but before you know it, you become this big, fat, ugly monster, looking like fucking Jabba the Hutt. You know what I'm saying? So, and people just don't know. They just don't really get it. Like, it's when we see whatever happened that shall happen, it's going to be a dark day. And I want you guys to make it. I really do. I pray for my people. Once again, that's the highest level of an affirmation that exists. Outside of actually doing something for you, that's the most I can do for you. Is to pray for you. That's the most. And sometimes praying for you is more than a person can do while trying to do something for you, because their help may be either low quality help for the task that you're trying to undertake, or they may not have the skills and the abilities to help you. So they're more or less getting in the way, is what I'm saying. As I sit right here, cool breeze hit me, feels excellent. You know, it was right on time. I just wanted to just say to y'all, man, I have had a blast doing all of this stuff with you guys. And no matter what happens, you know, don't be afraid. Stand up for yourself. Show the Most High God that you love yourself, that you love Him more than you love you. Show them that you know that you owe them. Black people, I'm gonna say this right here to you, and then I'm gonna roll out. You are in one of the most dangerous conflicts this world has ever seen. It has been a genocidal effort by not only our own people and the obvious oppressor class, but from every other group that has ever come into this nation and that we have not seen outside of this nation, that have all benefited in any way, shape, or form from the due diligence and the servitude of our ancestors or ourselves. You're special. Please don't ever forget how special you are. You mean a lot to me. You don't mean nothing to nobody else. I promise to God you mean a lot to me. That's why I can't stand to hear my people getting done wrong. I can't stand it. Anyway, love y'all, man. You guys take it easy.